And Earth is just, it's just a minor level in this huge game, you know? And if we pass, we get to play the next level. And if we fail, it's game over.
Believe me when I say, believe me when I say, believe me when I say, not everyone likes peace, not everyone likes peace, not everyone likes peace, not everyone likes peace, it's just me, Bellissi.
Hello and welcome to the new podcast. Now, I'm Bellissi. I'm a music producer, an independent artist and writer. And on this episode, I'm going to do something a little different. And I want to talk about my journey with religion and my relationship with God. So first, I want to explain the title, Coming Out. And to explain that, I talk about a show I watched recently. It was the Joe Rogan podcast. And on there, his guest was Matthew McConaughey. And he was talking about that famous speech, that Oscar speech for the Dallas Buyers Club. And he said during the speech, when he thanked God, he said he looked at the audience and he could see his friends and, you know, people that he loved and some people that he'd even prayed with. And before they clapped, he could see that they were doing sort of a left-right sort of check to make sure, is it okay to clap? And it just got me thinking about, you know, that stigma that we have with religion and the worship of God. And so that's why I've called it Coming Out, because, you know, that's what it feels like. It feels like to be religious or talk about God and Christ has such a stigma attached to it. You kind of feel embarrassed. There's like an embarrassment about it. And I think more so in Britain, maybe not so much in the States, although the Oscar speech was in the States. But certainly in Britain, it's what I found. And so I wanted to lift the curtain, so to speak, on my beliefs and how I live my life. And I completely realize and understand that I might lose some followers over this and some fans. And that's absolutely fine. I'm okay with that, you know. And I think it would be sort of for varying reasons. And one is that people that don't have faith, you know, the atheists out there, that's fine. You know, they might not connect with what I'm talking about. But I don't see no reason why we can't still be friends, if you like, just because we have different beliefs. But, you know, I have got no problem with what you believe in if it's separate to me. That's fine. I don't think it needs to separate us. And the second reason is I really think it's not cool. It's not cool to be religious. It's not cool to talk about God. It's not cool to talk about Christ or praying. And I find that so odd because you go back sort of 100 years and it was absolutely fine. But these days it's, oh no, it's uncouth, you know? And that's again, you know, I refer to the title Coming Out, you know, and it's like saying this is who I am, you know, take it or leave it. This is my beliefs. And, you know, some people may not like that. But for me, I couldn't do my journey without my strong faith. You know, I just couldn't. I need to know that he is not only supporting me, but reassuring me every step of the way. I refer to my relationship with Christ as, you know, it's my compass. It's a comfort blanket and it's also a shield. And so for those that are still with me and are still listening, this is my journey so far. I have a Christian Catholic background whereby my father was Catholic and my mother was raised Christian. And it was decided that I would be raised Christian as opposed to Catholic. However, my father's family, especially my nan, she was an Irish Catholic and I used to stay over there a lot. And so when we did, we'd go to evening mass and certainly on Sundays we'd go to mass. And so the religious side of my childhood was there all the time, really. You know, it wasn't drilled into me or anything, but certainly when I went round to my nan's, it really was. And it was lovely. I love that side of it. I classify myself as a Christian Buddhist, and I try to adhere to both of these laws. Now, I know some people out there will highly disagree with this and say, well, you can't believe in Buddhism and and be a Christian. They're opposites. And I sort of know what you mean. Buddhism teaches that there is no singular God, and whereas Christianity, teaches that there is a God. There is the Holy Trinity, and that's what you believe in. So I do understand that contradiction. However, for me, I think they complement each other perfectly. And by following these two disciplines, by following Buddhist beliefs, I can find that I align myself a lot better to both laws, if you like. And what I take from Buddhism especially is that living in the center that the Buddha teaches. So you don't go too far off right, too far off left. There's not too much excitement and you're not down too much. You live in the middle. And especially when you talk about sort of material possessions, material gains, you don't have too much. You have what you need. You don't have too little. You have what you need, and you've got to keep in that, and it's really hard to do that, especially as you're starting to grow up, and go through the ages. You want all these exciting things and you go for them, and it can take you off path a bit. And I think I am a lot older now, and so I do try to live in the center as much as I can. I don't want for too much. I have everything that I need, and I'm very blessed in that. So you can imagine how protected I feel. I have 100% belief in Christ. And I also have the teachings of Buddha to make sense of this sort of crazy journey through this tiny, tiny, short existence, on earth. So have I always had this strong faith? Definitely not. Not at all. Through my childhood, yes, it wasn't something that we talked about daily. Like I said, when I go to my nan's and everything, we'd go to mass and whatnot, and we'd pray. But other than that, it was just taken for granted, if you like. And it wasn't until my sort of 20s when I started to question my faith, and even lose it in some ways, really. And and even at some point, I did call myself a non-believer and an atheist. However, looking back, I was just angry. Life was a little tough, as it is for most people in their 20s. And I've had this discussion recently with someone that's going through the 20s. And I was saying, it's hard. When you speak to people, they say, oh, I'd love to go back to when I was 20. I wouldn't. It's a hard time. And I think because you've just come out of your teens, where you're pushing boundaries and nothing pushes back, you're tasting everything, you're tasting life, and you're allowed to do that. And then you go into your 20s and you're still sort of doing the same thing, but life pushes back. You're an adult now, you're a teenager in adult skin. And I just find that 20s really hard. And so during my 20s, I was angry at everything. My job sucked, house sucked, life sucked. I was like, a 15-year-old, I reverted back. It was ridiculous, really. But so I couldn't take it. Who could I take this out on? Can't take it out on me. I can't take it out on my loved ones. I'll take it out on God. It's your fault, and I did. I had arguments with God. I would blame him for everything. He wasn't answering my prayers. He was not giving me what I deemed I wanted and I needed. And so I said, well, we're not friends anymore then. And I don't believe in you anymore. And we fell out. And that's such a paradox, isn't it? Because I'm having an argument with someone that I don't believe in. I mean, obviously that's crap. And, it was, I'm telling myself that I don't believe in him anymore, but I'm just angry. That's all it is. So really, I didn't lose faith. I was just maybe exploring it, exploring boundaries as well, my own boundaries. And I think that's the beauty of faith, You can get angry, you can fall out, but he never goes away, and he certainly didn't with me, And as I found myself speaking to him more and more, even if it was angry, you're not doing this is rubbish, blah, blah, blah. He did answer my prayers, and he blessed me with my little girl, my daughter, in my, 21 or whatever, early 20s. And that changed my whole life, because I was really self-obsessed. All I cared about was me. Like I said, I've gone through the teenager where everything is about you, into your 20s where it's not so much. And by having my daughter, it centered me again, and it gave me a purpose. And I always say that she not only changed my life, but saved my life, because during that time I hit deep depression. I left my job. I wouldn't work. I'd stay in bed, and when I did get up, I drank and I drank and I drank. I caused friction between all my family members. I would just go wandering off for nights at a time, and my family driving around looking for me. It was a horrendous time. So when my daughter come along and centered me, I did see that as a gift from God, and bringing me back down, and him saying, "See, I am here. I was listening." But although, I had purpose now and my life certainly went back on track, my religion, my relationship with Christ didn't just heal in that moment. I was still finding myself. I still, maybe back then, wouldn't call myself religious, or a believer. If someone questioned me, say, "Well, yeah, I had faith. Yeah, I have faith, but not to the extent I do now." And so it was years later, really, that I really understood my relationship with God. And this comes back to the phrase coming out, because, maybe years ago I started to get the connection with God again, but I wouldn't go around telling people about it, because I was still in the closet, if you like. I wanted to be cool. I didn't want to go out like, the preachers that you see in town and preaching from the Bible. Back then I saw it was, one or two. You either didn't believe, or you were stood on a street corner with the Bible, which is obviously not the case. And slightly later on, I had a lot of friends that would ask me about my faith, because I was starting to be a bit more open about, talking about it. So if people say, "Oh, you're religious, Richie, aren't you?" And I'd say, "Yeah, I have faith in God. Yeah, I find it bizarre or not, but that's fine." And they would quiz me. They'd ask me questions about it, like I was an alien, like I just landed and come from another planet. Or, "What's your planet like?" I did find that kind of bizarre, and I think they were just intrigued. Maybe curious. They were curious themselves. Maybe they had this sort of relationship too, but they didn't want to be open with it, and they wanted to know how I was open with it, and sort of asking questions about it. And I met a lot of people during, especially the ambulance service, and I would get quizzed or ask questions about it. And some of the people would say, that they're not religious, but they believe in something. They'd say something along the lines that, and you may be able to relate to this, or some of you may be able to relate to that. That there's something out there, but I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's God, but there's something out there, but I'm not religious. And to me, that is faith. You do have faith. You believe something is out there. That's a bloody good start, isn't it? You believe that there's something out there. So that's faith. And then you've got the other people that say that they're atheists. And I can honestly say, in all of my life, I don't think I've ever met a true atheist. I know there's atheists out there, and that's absolutely fine. Got no drama with it. But, I can only pick up a few people that told me they were atheists, but then they would spend nearly all the time we were together talking about God. They would quiz me, and they would say things, "Well, how can you believe in God? Why do you believe in God?" And it's God, 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 God. They talk about God more than I do, and so I think maybe they're just confused, because if they didn't believe in it, why talk about it so much? Why does it anger them so much? Maybe they feel like they've been let down or something, I don't know. But in all my life, I don't think met a true, non-believer, if you like, yet. Maybe I still will, which is cool. And I know I've met some people that, have trouble with faith, or they're going through bad times, or they say that they don't believe, and they quiz me and they ask these questions. Well, if God exists, then why is there famine? Why is there poverty? Why is there war? And these are great questions, and this is how I sort of answer these questions in my own way, and to keep me sane, really. And it took me years and years to to get by these questions, because we all have them when we sort of start to have faith. Why? And I answer it like this: God created all, he watches over all, and he will heal all. But, and there's always a but, I believe true fate is fate, and free will is obviously real. And I believe that God will not intervene in certain cases. If it's fate or if it's free will, he won't intervene. I believe he will just simply catch us when we fall. And I believe, obviously, in eternal life and eternal existence. And earth is just, it's just a minor level in this huge game, And if we pass, we get to play the next level. And if we fail, it's game over. And that's the way I see it. So, when you talk in the cases of war or death or this child that's, been taken so young, I believe that was their fate, that was their time on this level, and then they are transcended. It doesn't mean that's it, it's over forever. They've just gone up to the next level. And so that's where it comes down to being as good as you can be during this time on earth, because you want to get to that next level. I certainly do anyway, And so with that explanation, faith comes easily to me because I don't expect too much or too little. I expect that right amount from God. I don't expect him to come down and just pick me up and put me here because it's a rough day, or, I've lost loved ones. 2 years ago, I lost 3 in 1 year, but I don't blame God for that. That was their time. That was their time on earth, and now they've transcended. And so, like I said, I think I try to live my life as good as I possibly can. And that doesn't mean that I haven't been an absolute twat, in the past, because I have. Like we can all be. We can all be an absolute idiot sometimes. And I have. And I've hurt a lot of people. I've hurt people that are close to me, through my own selfishness. And I think it's important that you seek forgiveness. You understand what you've done. Mistakes are just mistakes. You ask for forgiveness, obviously from God and then from the person that you've hurt. And you're back to an even playing field again. It's not always like that. But if you ask, at least you're trying something. And I've been very privileged that the mistakes I've made, I have righted, and the people I've wronged, I've made better, and I've said my apologies, and we've moved on. Another thing that is different in my faith, and that's attending church. Now, some people go to church every Sunday, some people go every day. That's fine. Some people have never been. That's fine too. In my view, so this is just my opinion. I don't think you need to attend church. I know people that attend church and they go once a week, and the rest of the week they're an absolute div. It's going to church doesn't make you special or make you more holy, or God recognizes you. I'll go, oh, well done for attending. Yeah, that's a tick for you, son. I don't believe it works like that. So church for me is everywhere. I'm in church right now. God is everywhere all the time. He's sat with me now. He's in everything I do. He's in the words that I speak to you. It's the reason I'm doing this podcast. It's the reason I'm alive. It's the reason I sit in this room. I don't need to go into a church to do that. I do, however, believe in prayer, and I pray a lot. And sometimes for me, that's just a simple conversation with God. I'm sitting down, or especially when I'm working or trying to find a new story. I'm talking to God all the time, and I believe in the angels that, they're feeding me this lyrics and that God's given me this life. So we're in constant conversation, and that is prayer. And certainly every night, then I will say my prayers and my thanks for everything that he's given me on that day and for my family. And so I pray. I thank you for this life. I thank you for every opportunity you give me. And most of all, I thank you for the special ones in my life. Amen. So this is how I go through life and my belief system. And now I'm out. My truth is out there. My faith is out there. My love for life and God is out there. Thank you as always for spending some time with me. And I look forward to speaking to you soon. Take care. God bless.
Yeah, okay. Believe me when I say, believe me when I say, believe me when I say, not everyone likes peace, not everyone likes peace, not everyone likes peace, not everyone likes peace. It's just me, Bellissi.